It's 1,401 days since a day in January 2021 when at the Gabba in Brisbane, Rishabh Pant punched a ball from Josh Hazlewood through mid-off and the Indian team erupted in celebration of a scarcely credible series victory. Scarcely credible because when the fourth and final test of that series began on January 15, there were more Indian first choice players in the outpatient department of the nearest hospital than in the playing 11 itself. Of that 11 from 3 years ago, there's only one player, Rishabh Pant himself, who's sure to play in the first test of the latest edition of the Border Gavaskar Trophy, which begins at the Optus Stadium in Perth tomorrow. Washington Sundar, who's also a 2021 alumnus, is a probable. Subman Gill, who opened in Adelaide and whose 91 in the second innings set up India's successful chase, is likely out of the first test with a hairline fracture on his thumb, and Rohit Sharma is busy being daddy to his newborn. So there's just one player in common between then and now, but it is the same India, a team that has emerged as Cricket Australia's nemesis in the 2000s. It doesn't matter that the team has a ship of Theseus feel to it because the rivalry, the growing narrative of tests between the two sides, is what will put butts on sofas in front of television screens tomorrow morning. Back in 2021, the pervasive work from home culture of the COVID years meant that our bosses and people like Narayan Murthy, the apostle of the 70-hour work week, didn't know we were watching cricket when we were supposed to be working. That luxury no longer exists. So stand by for a mass outbreak of absenteeism beginning tomorrow because no matter who wins or loses, you can't take your eyes away from the action when India and Australia go head on. The pitch at the Optus Stadium in Perth, which is a 2 kilometer walk from the storied WACA, is a bit of a mystery. Curator Isaac McDonald has been promising a fast, bouncy pitch, but a prerequisite for pitch preparation is an assist from the sun. The weather in the week leading up to the test has been overcast and chill, and spells of unseasonal rain have disrupted pitch preparation to an extent. By the time the umpires signal start of play tomorrow morning, the drop-in wicket will have spent considerable time sweating under the covers. And that creates a sort of conditions where the two teams, both of which, by the way, are led by fast bowlers, will want to bowl first. There's a lot riding on that coin toss. The last time India toured Australia, its selection problems, aggravated to an extent by absenteeism and injuries, only began after the first test. This time the problems come prior. Yashasvi Jaiswal is sure to open, and partnering him will be KL Rahul, Indian cricket's square peg in perennial search of a suitable hole to slot into. He's played in almost all positions in the top six, a bit like a tenant in Bombay having to shift to a new rental every 11 months because he can't afford his own home. Simon Gill's thumb fracture opens up the crucial number three slot. Crucial because in case of an early wicket, it is number three who has to go out there and make sure the bowling side doesn't smash down the gates. India has been fortunate to have the likes of first Rahul Dravid, then Chiteshwar Pujara coming in at three. Whoever does that job at Perth will be untried, untested. The Indian team has been noticeably close-mouthed thus far with none of the boundary line sound bites or even pro forma attendance at press conferences that you expect. From the meager tea leaves that reporters have been able to read, it seems that Devdutt Padikkal, who has had time to acclimate to Australian conditions as a member of the India A Tour, will be the likely stopgap. Virat Kohli and Rishabh Pant at 4 and 5 are no-brainers. Despite Kohli's abysmal form, commentators have been harping about how he always finds his best touch in Australia, and that hope underlines the pre-test hype. After Pant comes another question mark. Sarfraz Khan is the incumbent number six, but after an outstanding debut against New Zealand, his form has petered off somewhat, which is why there is chatter that Dhruv Jurel, easily the most impressive Indian batter on the A Tour, could get that slot ahead of Khan. Ravindra Jadeja comes in at number seven because who else? India has in recent times been overly dependent on its lower middle order to provide valuable runs, and Jadeja is the bridge that connects the middle and the lower orders. Ideally, you expect Ravichandran Ashwin to come in at eight, both for his batting and for the fact that Australia has three left-handers in its top six, and Ashwin loves bowling to left-handers. But then again, the management could opt for Washington Sundar, who's tall, bowls a high arm action, and has Started his career as an accomplished left-handed batter before morphing into a bowler who can bat. Given the conditions, the last three should be quicks. Jasprit Bumrah, who will lead in Rohit Sharma's absence, is the one certainty. You then have to pick two between Mohammad Siraj, who was outstanding in Australian conditions in 2021, Prasidh Krishna, who has both the pace and the height to exploit those conditions, Harshit Rana, who's the paciest of the four, and Akash Deep, who's in fairly good form at the moment. And then there is the left field choice of Nitish Kumar Reddy, who's more of a batsman who can bowl a few overs of wicket to wicket medium pace, just enough to give the frontline bowlers some breathing space. India's bowling coach Mone Mokal has been talking up Reddy's prospects, and Reddy could well get the nod, but only if the team management decides that it wants to lengthen its batting more than strengthen its bowling. It's actually a bit odd that the Indian team is coming into a series of this importance with so many question marks around the composition of its playing 11. But we've been here before, most notably in 2021, when the team was one injury away from needing its coach to put on whites and take the field. Speaking as a fan, the final lineup isn't going to cost me much sleep tonight. Watching the Indian team play in tests is a bit like going to the circus. You don't quite know what you're going to get or who will do the star turns, but as you take your seat under the big top, you're sure of one thing: a mesmerizing spectacle and prospect. India versus Australia is Test cricket's big top, and the curtain is due to go up in a few hours from now. Enjoy the show and join us at Stumps after close of play each day for a recap of the day's action. This is brought to you by Rediff.com.